Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of Viatec Wabag Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Rajiv Mittal, Managing Director and CEO, Group CEO. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Dear friends, let me first welcome you all to the earnings call post announcement of Q2 22 results of Viatec Wabag Limited. Joining me today for this earnings call is our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Skanda Prasad Sitaraman. Our best wishes to you all on this auspicious occasion of Deepavali. Moving on to the performance for the quarter, economic activities continued to progress well as construction work and supply chain are at near normal levels. During quarter, we further expedited the pace of execution across sites by deploying sufficient resources and requisite working capital. This was essential to ensure the project progress is well ramped up as we move into the second half of the fiscal. Coming to some key project updates, in our Zarak seawater reverse osmosis plant of 50 MLD capacity, expandable to 100 MLD, being executed for Soned in Tunisia. The project is progressing very well with engineering and ordering complete. Civil and marine works are at peak and in advanced stage of completion. Equipment deliveries are underway. On our One City One Operator project, which is an O&M contract in the city of Agra and Ghaziabad, has been ensuring treatment of 617 milliliters per day of sewage, adhering to the national treatment standard and serving a population of over 3 million people. One of the major objectives for us in this project is to eliminate manual intervention in the underground sewage network by deploying mechanized technologies. Since our takeover of the project, we have renovated 4 STPs and associated network with a treatment capacity of 230 MLD. As part of this contract, we operate a customer call center for resolving public grievances in a timely manner. Moving on to our hybrid annuity model project in Kolkata, detailed engineering is complete and ordering is also nearing completion. Civil activities are currently underway and the equipment deliveries will commence soon. In our latest Amur Gas Chemical Complex project in Russia, we have established our branch office in Moscow to facilitate the project execution. We have signed the contract with the customer. Basic engineering activities are complete and detail engineering is currently underway. Our local engineering and procurement teams are in place at Russia to work closely with customer and also local vendors. Moving on to the ordering activity, we are witnessing good traction in Middle East, Africa and Indian markets, as tendering activities are gaining momentum in these geographies. We are witnessing increased interest from multinationals and other financial institutions to invest in the water sector as the post-COVID recovery phase begins. Governments across the globe have been unveiling long-term plans as well as regulatory changes towards water and hygiene. As you know, ESG and sustainability have become the norm now in every industry. And one of the most important components of this is water security. All these factors give us confidence that Waba's commitment to technology and sustainability, we are well poised to continue growing profitably and enhance our global leadership position. I now request Skanda to take you through the financial highlights for the quarter. Over to you, Skanda.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. Good evening, friends. Trust you had an opportunity to look at the result update presentation as circulated and uploaded on our website. Let me take you through the key financial highlights for the half year ended 30th September 2021. Our revenue from operations on consolidated basis stood at rupees 1,342 crores, up by 29% year-over-year. On a standalone basis, the revenue from operations was rupees 973 crores, up by 54% year-over-year. The consolidated EBITDA for the period stood at 97 crores, which was up by 34% year-over-year, and the standalone EBITDA for the period stood at 71 crores, up by 30% year-over-year. We continued to grow profitability in this quarter as well, with the profit after tax attributable to owners for the period at rupees 42 crores on consolidated basis, up by about 90% year-over-year. On a standalone basis, the profit after tax stood at rupees 30 crores, up by about 146% year-over-year. On the core metrics, our core EBITDA stood at 8.5% and the core PAT at 4.1%. The core return on capital employed, ROCE, was 21.1% and the core net working capital days stood at about 79 days. During the period, we have deployed resources into the projects across the group to ensure execution is expedited, which is reflecting in the top line growth and improved margin profile year-over-year this quarter. Despite higher sales, the trade receivable levels have remained similar as March 21, signifying better billing and collection turnover. The cash flow used in operations of about 250 crores was primarily deployed towards expediting the pace of project execution. We express our heartfelt thanks to our bankers, vendors, investors, and all other stakeholders for the continued support extended to us. With this, we now open the floor for question and answers.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets for asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The first question is from the line of Ashit Koti, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and congratulations on your very good numbers.
Thank you.
I would want to ask one question, that is, when do we see the constant stability? I mean, say, there used to be lots of volatility in terms of performance. So, have we passed through that volatile times and now we are on to a overall growth trajectory for next couple of years at least? And second question was, while we have been banking on Namami Gange project as well as some other river cleaning projects also, recent episode in Yamuna river pollution. So, are we working on those areas also?
Right. Thanks for your questions. The first question is on the growth, whether we have reached a stability. See, you would have noticed the company that we have been a continuously growing company, and we have been steadily growing anything between 10 to 15% average if you even take over the last 1 decade. And we will continue this growth journey with no intention to consolidate, because we see there is a huge market both in India and international. With Waba's positioning in the technology and the references we have, we see no reason why we should not continue to grow for years to come. So being a project business, is always can be from the mix of the projects, there can be some ups and downs, but the general pattern of the company since its inception has been growth. So yes, confidently we can say, why only 2 years? More than 2 years, we will be on the growth path. The second part, you talked about Yamuna. See, why only Yamuna? There are so many rivers in the country. Today, they are all coming under the Namami Gange initiative, which was initially started for river Ganga, our holy river Ganges. But now this scheme has been extended to all the rivers across the country for cleaning up the rivers and ensuring the effluent and the sewage is not flowing into it without treatment. So we see this as a huge opportunity in coming years and decades, which will bring so much business on the treatment side. So this is definitely, we see a good opportunity, and it's right in our domain area to provide the solutions for this pollution control.
With all the money which is being spent on cleaning the rivers, are you offering solutions where it should start at the stage of inception, that is at a plant level, at a projects level, whereby it does not reach the river at all? And if the companies are not in a position or not willing to, then some kind of a model where state and the companies together contribute, and then balance is through sharing of profit or whatever. Because over a period of time, the water cost is increasing in major metropolitan cities as well as in industrial areas. So for the companies to reduce their cost of water consumption, and they need to use your technology and recycle and reuse. So where do we stand on that?
Too many questions in one question. I'll try to answer.
Sorry, sir.
No problem. We'll attempt. If I miss anything, you can re-ask. Number one, this treatment has to be at the source, at the origin of this wastewater. Whether it's sewage or whether it's industrial wastewater, the treatment has to happen where the waste gets generated, not once it flows into the river. That's not possible. So that's what we do, and that's what we have been doing. Right where there is the source of this wastewater, we go there and treat the sewage. And if some small nalas are opening into the river, tap that nalas, pump the sewage also in the treatment plant, so that all the sewage gets treated and no stream of sewage or wastewater goes into the river untreated. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about partnering with the government. That's exactly the model what we have today, which is called as HAM, Hybrid Annuity Model, where the government and the private companies are collaborating together, investing together, and ensuring that we find a solution for this treatment. Last one, you're talking about the cost of water. I think you know that the cost of water in India is lowest compared to any other country. Even smaller countries like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and others charge more cost of water compared to India. So our cost of water is very low, and that is also one thing which our advice to government is always to increase the cost of water, so there's more money available, not only to build projects, but also to operate and maintain the assets which they have created. And they don't have to work on the subsidies which they get from the government. They should be self-dependent. The last one you talked, and it's very, very important, is to recycle and reuse. That's the concept. The government, as well as companies like us, has been advocating for last 1.5 decades. And I think most of these new projects are seeing that the water gets recycled. That is also economically is the best solution, because there's a revenue which is coming out of it, and because you have a treated water which is reusable quality, you will never compromise on the treatment standard. You will ensure that the water gets treated to a standard which the process industry can use it. We are leaders in recycle. Whether you talk about industrial, we have done plants for power, steel, oil and gas, and even for the municipal industry, where the sewage gets recycled and is supplied to the commercial and the industrial units for their requirements. So we have in fact built one of the largest plants in Chennai, which is a good reference to see that the sewage is used, and then after treatment it is supplied to all the industries, including some of the large multinationals on the Punnamalai High Road of Chennai. So this is definitely a way forward, and what you said is, I fully agree.
Thank you, sir. I'll ask again a couple of more questions, but again, I'll be in a queue.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. For any follow-up, may we request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Priyanka Biswas from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Priyanka from Nomura here. So my first question is, we have seen a very strong rebound in domestic sales, at least at the console numbers, like over 60%. Whereas in the overseas sales, this seems to be lacking. I mean, like it is down by 3%. So any issues or something we're facing the overseas job site, maybe due to supply chain or anything?
I don't think so. See, as a company, we don't distinguish between which product we give, whether it's water, wastewater, desal. Neither we distinguish by the geographies. Where we have a right project to use our technologies with good cash flows and also with the excellent technologies we can use, we prefer those projects, and it can be in India, it can be globally. So I think today, we don't look at the numbers, what is coming from India and what is coming internationally. It can be just a mix of the projects, which you can see that this definitely we will see more international with this Russia project and the Petronas project, which is going up. You will definitely see this happening. Now, if you see the numbers, and I think the segment revenue, just coming to the numbers, if you see on a half-yearly basis, yes, there is an excellent rebound from in India from 309 crores to 521 crores. But also rest of the world, it's not bad. It's from 79 or 792 crores to 912 crores. So that has also substantially grown even the rest of the world. So if now Russia project starts picking up, you will see in the coming quarters more will be in rest of world, and maybe India will also grow, but the rest of the world will also grow much more faster, and you can see a big difference between what was in the first half and what will be in the second half.
Thanks, sir, for that. Then the follow-up here is, while the trade receivables are flat, this is what I observed, there is still some working capital related outflows. So any reason why the terms of terms of the trade payables or the terms of credit are worsening, or is there something happening there?
Priyankar, if you see what has happened in the balance sheet, as you rightly said, the trade receivable have remained flat. But what is also important is that the turnover has grown. If you see from a half year to half year basis, last year to current year, we have 600 crores of turnover more, but the trade receivables are broadly flat, which means we are collecting faster. And on the trade payables, as I mentioned in the speech, we have, and also what we mentioned in our Q1 investor call on the price increases and the extended stay, where we had a margin dip. In the current period, the margin profiles have improved, both at standalone and console. And this is a result of expediting progress in the projects. And obviously, we will have to fund where there is construction work or where there is a cash and carry on material prices in order to have our margins intact. So there you will there is an investment of resources that we'll have to put into the projects. But on a half year to half year basis, for the incremental working capital versus the incremental sales, is not in the same ratio. We have come down on the working capital days as such. So the entire money has gone into the projects to expedite, to pick up the pace so that our H2 is also, and we have stepped into H2, and it is important that the pace is picked up.
So if I understand it rightly, so this working capital investments should help us further accelerate from the current levels in H2, right? I mean, to have a even more enhanced execution. So is that the right understanding?
That is correct, Priyanka.
And so the last question from my side is, last con call I remember hearing about potentially the Chennai desalination or about the Chennai desalination tender. So what is the status there, and if you can give some even qualitative color, like how we are placed vis-a-vis the project, and when can we expect the bidding to happen?
The bids are under preparation. Presently, the submission date is in January, where the technical and the commercial bid has to be submitted in January. Even if we get one or two extensions, but it will definitely happen in February. Generally, being a JICA, Japanese funded tender, it will take about a couple of months for evaluation and then award. So we expect the award to be in the first quarter next year.
Okay. And the competitive intensity, if you can give some idea, like
It was already pre-qualified. We have said in the previous con calls also. There was a global competition being an international tender, ICB. So there was a pre-qualification called for, and only 4 companies have pre-qualified. I'm glad to inform that our company also is one of the 4 which is pre-qualified to submit the tender.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kaushik Poddar from KB Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Yeah, since COVID has more or less stabilized right now, can you give us a sense of the turnover for this financial year as well as the margin for this financial year, or for the next half, second half?
See, you have always, I think you're being an investor with the company, you always see that the second half is always stronger than the first half. Now, in the first half itself, we have done pretty well. You have seen what my colleague Skanda had told you, the growth we have done over the last quarter. So I'm sure you can quickly churn your numbers and you will be able to come to. But because of this uncertainty of COVID and other things which are happening globally, we have refrained the last year and this year to give any estimates of where we will be at the end of the year. But I don't think it will be difficult for you to estimate where we would be with the kind of track record we have had in the last few years.
Okay. And secondly, this the price of commodity steel and everything have gone up. Do you think that the commodity price hike coming in the way of reaching your 10-11% margin which you have talked about?
See, definitely you have seen in the first quarter it did have an impact. Two impacts. One you rightly said is the commodity price, and second, because of COVID, we have a extension of time, something in the base of about 6 months to 8 months. That is also cost money because we have extended stay cost. But that is what Skanda was explaining, that this quarter we have taken a conscious decision that we will not delay our projects, COVID or no COVID. Plus, during this, a lot of small suppliers and contractors are really short of cash. So we also support them to ensure that they mobilize their resources and work at a speed what we desire of them. And also to fix the price, we immediately take the delivery rather than keeping it for 3 to 6 months, where further increase in commodity prices can affect us. So this is a trade we have to do, that whether you invest little extra working capital and get your projects on time, as well as you don't allow your margins to slip. Whereas we always have said that 10-11% on core EBITDA is possible, and I would assume even now we would assume it's possible.
That's great. And can you give a sense of any big order you're getting in the next, opening up in this coming second half? In this second half?
Yeah, as I said in my speech earlier,
okay,
that we have a very good order pipeline. Okay. We are very bullish on what we will book orders in the second quarter and
second half.
Second half, sorry, you're right.
Right.
Second half of the year. So I think as far as order opportunities are concerned globally, there are enough to get what we want. We also don't want to go beyond a certain level where we have 3-4 times of our annual sales should be our order backlog, and we try to keep it in that. So whatever we execute, we try to get 20-30% more than that as our order intake.
20-30% more than your turnover, whatever you do, right?
Yes. That's the minimum number we have to get, so that we grow year on year in terms of order book.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Omkar, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, very good evening and congratulations for good quarter 2 numbers. Sir, any update on Argenco and Thyssenko collection as of now? Because it is pending from long, because of courts were not working, NCLT were not working. Now courts have started working. Any update on that?
I think the only update I can give that at least now hearing has started.
Okay.
Some of them are still virtual and some of them are even physical hearing, both at NCLT and at Supreme Court. We have had already 2 hearings completed. So we expect very soon, maybe in next quarter, we will be able to tell you the outcomes of these cases.
Okay, so things are moving up, right?
Yes.
Great. And as the earlier person has already asked question regarding the JICA project, so as of now you are saying even if that project, whatever outcome will come, that will come next year, first quarter. Am I right?
That's right. Very correct.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arvind Joshi from Betelier Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, most of my questions are done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Dhananjay Mishra from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my question is regarding this Libya framework contract. This has been in this framework since long. So any specific reason it is not moving?
I think it's a question of the priority of the government, because we said the framework definition itself that the contract comes under framework when we have a signed contract. Here, the contract is signed and we have even paid the stamp duty to get the contract registered. But we don't start the contract till we get a letter of credit. So obviously, when the finances are limited, the country is taking a decision which project is urgently required. And today their emergency requirement is drinking water and the power. So this sewage treatment plant, probably it will take a few more quarters before they can allocate fund and open the LC. But you see the second framework contract, which is the Bomba MED, which is a desalination plant. You will see this coming much faster because this is drinking water. We recently signed this contract and we expect maybe in next quarter or so, we should be able to get a letter of credit and start execution. So the preference is always to the drinking water and power, and we will accordingly see the sewage treatment plant will probably take a few quarters more to get into effectiveness. But the second one, the drinking water, will come much faster.
Okay. And secondly, sir, in EPC segment, we have seen 35% growth in H1. However, in O&M segment, it has remained flat. And we were had a target to reach from 15% revenue in O&M to 25% in next 3, 4, 5 years. So what is, what is any specific reason here also?
Yeah, I think it's very simple. Basically, the O&M projects come into force after EPC completes their project and hands over the plant to the client, and the client hands it over back to us for operation and maintenance for a long period, which is 5, 10 years. Now, because of 2 rounds of COVID, 2 phases of COVID, we seen a delay of anything between 8 to 12 months. So naturally, some of these revenues got postponed. What we should have completed 8 to 12 months earlier, probably will now get completed 8 to 12 months later. So probably in the coming quarters, you will see the revenue of O&M also picking up as we complete EPC projects and hands it over to the O&M team.
Okay, sir. And the last question in balance sheet, we have in current asset, our trade receivable has remained almost same in last 6 months. But in non-current asset, our this trade receivable has gone up by 120 crore. From 547 crore, it has gone to 658 crore. So what is it's all about?
So when we execute projects, especially municipal projects, there are terms of retention which are there. So on every invoice, the customer holds retention. It should be paid as a milestone payment at the end of the project or after the end of warranty period. So what is classified as non-current is what is not expected to be received within the next 1 year. So where we have large projects which started in the last couple of years and will take more than 1 year to complete now, those receivables are classified as non-current. So an increase in non-current also signifies that we are expediting the projects and invoicing is going to.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Charanjit Singh from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So just I want to understand on the industrial side, when we see now there's a more push from the corporates to meet the ESG norms and talk about the water treatment, and we are, having a very strong capabilities in zero liquid discharge and water treatment of the industrial space. So in terms of opportunities which are evolving there, if you can touch upon, and any, major government regulation changes which can lead to much more better growth in the industrial side. That's my first question.
I think it's true both for industries as well as the municipal authorities, because everybody wants to be self-dependent, Atmanirbhar. So I think when it comes to water also, they don't want to depend on the external source. They want to just be self-dependent. So in that case, I think most of the industries are going for recycle and reuse. This is the new norm for all the industrial plants we are seeing. There are 2 reasons. One, the environmental discharge norms are becoming strict, and also the regulator and the implementing authorities are also becoming very strict. If you don't meet the norms, then they can even shut down your unit. So as a result, the industries are going for more and more treatment plants with recycle capabilities, and that's where we see a good business for us. Same thing is happening for the municipal authorities, where they also don't want to just discharge the wastewater into the water bodies. They also want to make money out of it. At one stage, the treatment of wastewater was seen as liability. Today, the wastewater treatment has become a business. Wastewater is an asset because they make money out of it. They treat this water and sell it to the industry at a very, very good price. As a result, it has become a new business model to treat wastewater and make that clean water, the treated water, is sold to the industries and other commercial establishments. So yes, going forward, we see this trend picking up and everybody is looking for water security. Nobody wants to depend on external source to get their water, and if they don't get water, then they will have to shut down their factories and the units, which I think industries are moving away, and they say we will recycle our own wastewater.
So, Rajeevji, if you can just touch upon, so how large is this industrial water treatment market and at what rate it is growing, and how is the competitive dynamics here?
I think it requires technology and also experience. As of now, it's not very competitive. There are large players who have experience, can handle it, but I'm like any other business, over a period of time, everybody will gain experience and get, but at least for next 5-10 years, we would see this as a very niche market for us. This is growing definitely at not less than 15% year on year, and this will further continue to grow. Even government is advocating that industry should use recycled water. That there is a guideline for the power plants which are in the vicinity of a sewage treatment plant. They have been encouraged to use this recycled water rather than taking fresh water.
Okay. And so lastly, on the working capital side now, going forward in the second half, how do you see the payment cycle from different customers, be it, state or central funded projects? If you can touch upon one is like in the near term and overall going forward, working capital levels, at what level we would like to maintain that at? That's my last question. Thank you.
Payment cycle wise, and we have said this in many of our on call speeches and also in Q&A, that we mostly go for projects which are multilaterally funded or sovereign funding is coming in. Or in some of the international projects where letter of credits are available. So as far as cash flows are concerned, we can see there is some credit period, sometimes it's 90 days, sometimes it is 150 days. Other than that, we don't see that any problem would come in terms of collection. As long as we do our job, we should be able to collect money on time. And also, I think as the industry is moving, I think customers are also wanting that they pay so that they can also get their projects completed on time. If they don't pay on time, the project will get delayed and there will be escalation in cost, which is not to anybody's benefit. So customer is equally interested to see that this is coming down. Now, in terms of receivable days, if you see from last 1.5 years, from March 20 to September 21, we used to be on 230 days. Today we are down to 160 days. So continuously we have brought down our billed receivable days to almost 70 days in last 18 months. So going forward, our endeavor is to continuously further bring it down to a level where a normal industry of our type should be. And this we are very hopeful that in next few quarters you can see the results, what we deliver.
Yeah. Thanks, Rajeevji, for taking my question and all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir, and congratulations on good set of numbers.
Sir, my first question is on the opportunity side. Do you see this ordering opportunity as the enter FY23 becoming better compared to FY22? And how do you see H2 FY22 for domestic and the international orders?
I think the answer to your question, one is yes, definite yes, that we are seeing these opportunities to be better than what we saw about a year back. Definitely we see some investment coming in, plus there is a huge focus both in India and at international level on the water sector. So as we said earlier, we see that this opportunity is growing and it is already at the pre-COVID level. So from an investment point of view, we don't see any problem, any concern on investment on water projects. Second one, I think you said the domestic and international.
Yes, sir. If you qualitative, color especially in Middle East, are you seeing larger orders, larger size orders? Do you expect those orders to get closed in the next 6 or 12 months? Are you seeing higher traction, especially Middle East?
Definitely, we have at least about half a dozen orders where we feel very good about it. And at least we would think that in next 2 quarters we'll be able to close at least half of them, 3 of them will be closed in next 2 quarters. And we are very hopeful of that. Same is with India. We have a lot of good bids in evaluation phase. They will also get closed in next couple of quarters. Regarding, I think you talked about one more thing.
So I was talking generally about Middle East. Are you seeing higher activity?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, so my question was that are we seeing much higher activity compared to H1? H1 has been pretty bad, right? We haven't got any order inflow. There has been hardly any, large orders getting finalized. So do we expect the H2 to be far better? That was the question,
No, I just want to remind you that is not a correct statement, that we don't have orders in the first half. In fact, one of our largest order, the Sibur order from Russia, which is close to 1,200 crores, we got in the first quarter. And also the Petronas order we got in the second quarter.
Yes, true. So my question is pertaining more to domestic, sir. Domestic,
yes. I think the activities, you are right, were a little low. But I'm sure you will see in the second half, even the domestic things will pick up. And overall, as I mentioned to somebody earlier, we would meet our targets of order intake in this FY22.
And lastly, on this Bombay MCGM order, which was being allotted to 4 to 5, players, once it gets finalized, does it translate into some opportunity for us? Because I think this is a 10,000 crore order for all the five packages. How can this potentially translate into a number for us?
I don't know if you have been in the previous phone calls of the company. We have been talking about this for last 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And we have consciously not participated this time because we have been doing this for last 10 years. And I don't know even now whether this will get finalized or it will see a new avatar of this order. So this is going on.
My question was that whether those parties who will win the contract, will we get those contracts that eventually come to people like us? Is that assumption wrong or right?
Wrong. We would normally not work as subcontractors to them. If we think it's interesting and we believe that this will go through, then we will work as a main contractor, a lead contractor ourselves.
Mm-hmm. No, my question was because some of the contractors have no experience of doing this kind of large contract.
Usually is a flaw in the tendering. That itself is a flaw. So we stay away from such things.
Understood. Thank you, sir. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of S.A. Narayan from Capricorn Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. We had overdue sticky dues from the state governments of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. What is the current status? Have we collected them or have we provided against the outstandings?
As we explained to one of the earlier participants, that this is under litigation, and one is at the NCLT and other is at the Supreme Court. Because of last 2 years, we all know the courts were not functioning and the urgent and important things, they were taking it on the virtual hearing. Now things have improved in the last couple of months and we ourselves have had a couple of hearings for our case. We expect in next quarter or two, we will get a decision and we are hoping for a favorable decision and we'll keep you informed as we progress.
Wonderful. My next question is, compared to Q on Q, the finance costs have gone up from 19.8 crores to 22.1 crore. This is about 4% of our revenue. Should we consider this as the norm? What will be the normalized finance cost per quarter or for the year? On absolute terms as well as on percentages.
Yeah, I think if you look at half-yearly numbers, that can be a norm. Because if you see the net interest cost has come down, whether you say a half-yearly basis or a Q2 basis, from the previous year to this year, our interest costs have definitely come down. Now, the bank charges have slightly gone up from 23 crores on a half-yearly basis to 25 crore or 23.7 to 24.9. But this is purely based on the business we have, like new Russian order we get, the Malaysia order. And these are all international orders which we all have to give a bank guarantee for performance as well as for down payment.
Okay. And then a couple of more questions. Our PAT margin is 4.3%. Is this likely to improve? If it is likely to improve, what will be the trigger?
We have said always that we will try to keep the EBITDA in the double-digit margin, especially the core EBITDA. We told the earlier participant also. I think below EBITDA we don't have much other than this interest cost and the bank charges. Okay. So we should be slightly better on a year-on-year basis. But the first half is always a subdued half compared to the second half, which is much stronger. So we would definitely expect.
For the full year itself, it will be improved.
Yeah, definitely we expect for full year it should improve.
Great. And my last question, what is the tax rate? Is it likely to be reduced? You seem to be having some 29 or 30%.
Because we are a company with a lot of subsidiaries across the globe. Though in India, tax rates will be at 25%, but when we consolidate all the units across the globe, this is an effective rate for us as a group.
So this will stay put?
Yeah, I think depends how much business, how much revenues, how much profit comes from each entity, and what is that country's tax rate.
Oh, sure. Many thanks. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ravi Nagda, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, what is the free cash flow we have generated in this quarter?
I think we have used cash, as Kanda was explaining, to expedite our projects. Kanda is looking at it and he will give you a more correct number, but we have used cash in this quarter and Kanda should give you
Yeah, our free cash flow used is about 280 crores.
Okay.
For the
Thank
half year. For the half year.
Okay.
The half.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashit Koti, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
So with regards to the competition and our ranking in the world market, be it sewage treatment, water treatment, like there's bars for Dow and a couple of others. So where do we stand vis-a-vis them? And if I have to look at the markets, I would how do I put it region-wise? Asia Pacific, Europe, Central Asia, that is including China, Southeast Asia. So if overall order positioning, if I divide it region-wise and the margins region-wise.
It's a big thing. We don't track the company that way, but I can give you an overall feel of it. See, if you see, we are a global company. Our main business comes from India and the neighboring countries of India, which is South Asia and Southeast Asia. We are not in China. We are very active in Middle East, North Africa, and some countries in Sub-Sahara. We are very, very active in Europe, being origin from legacy. It's a European company. So we have units in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Czech, Romania, and Turkey. So they are also very active. And at the moment, we are not in Americas, whether it's South or North America. We are not there. And at the moment, we also don't intend to be in that market.
Okay. And a reason for not looking at China at all, I mean, say one of the most polluting countries, I mean, say, ahead of India, but nation. India and China are two major polluting countries as far as water pollution is concerned, and also air pollution. But I think we are not into air pollution.
No, we are not. We are only in liquid. You are right. I think very simple. I don't think we have been to China and stayed there for almost 25 years. Still, it was a soft loans which were going to China. Being a European company, there were a lot of technologies and soft loans we were able to do business there. But once I think China developed and they didn't need any soft loans, this was more than about 15 years back, we saw that we can't compete with the local players there because it's their market, they understand it, they have better connections, and we are not. So we stayed there for 5-7 years to see, and we came to a conclusion that this is not a market for us. And same way, we don't see a single Chinese company in India who is active in this sector. So I think it goes for them also. Probably they cannot compete with us in our country, and we can't compete with them in their country.
Okay, and on the world ranking, sir?
I think you should be proud that a company is number 4 in terms of world ranking. And this is well documented and there in public domain.
Right, sir. And we plan. How do we plan to reduce bank charges? Not the interest cost part of it, but the bank charges. I suppose that was more towards bank guarantees and things like that.
Yeah, like our finance minister had announced to all the at least units in India to not take 10% performance guarantees and take 3%. Issues like this, if government supports companies, especially in the water sector, which is also seen as a clean sector, sustainability sector, ESG sector, we definitely can reduce it. And today the banks' guarantees have come down, but the rates have not come down. So next thing, I think the government can also put a maximum cap what the banks can charge for such guarantees.
Okay. But only on the company profile, they are not going to reduce it. per se.
They do that, but that's a small thing which they give depending on our rating, depending on our past performance. They definitely give you, but that's a very small. Especially when we do business outside India, we have to pay double charges. One, we have to pay to an Indian bank to give a counter guarantee to a bank based in that country, because the client will only accept a guarantee from a local bank. So there also becomes a double charge for the bank guarantee for us if we do international business.
And how are our relations with multilateral agencies like be it World Bank or IMF or any other agencies which do fund this kind of clean water or water treatment projects to save environments?
I think today our reputation and the brand is very strong. We enjoy a very good relationship, and they also have a lot of confidence in our capability and reputation. So today we are working with all multinational agencies, whether it's KfW Germany, whether it is World Bank, Washington DC, whether it's JICA from Tokyo, whether it's ADB from Asia. So you talk about all multilateral agencies, we have been working with them, and majority of our projects are multilaterally funded. You will also be happy to note that even our first HAM project was also funded by a commercial arm of World Bank, which is IFC. This is the first time something like this was funded by IFC. So the debt funding came from IFC Washington DC for our Kolkata KNDA project.
Great, sir. Congratulations for that. And my only request would be what I had earlier asked you, and you had said that you have not been looking at it in that particular angle. But region-wise presence and orders, and also with against each region's multilateral agencies. So, it would give us an idea if anyone wants to track what are other projects which are being promoted by those agencies, and whether our company is going to be taking part in those bidding process and things like that, which should give us an maybe a little bit more idea early on.
Sure. We have noted your requirement. We'll see what we can provide you extra.
Right, sir. Thanks a lot. And once again, congratulations for good numbers. Extraordinarily good numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Rajiv Mittal for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you everyone for your participation in our Q2 FY22 earnings call. We have uploaded the analyst presentation in our website. In case you have still further queries, you may get in touch with the Stella IR advisor, our investor relation advisor based in Mumbai, or feel free to get in touch with us directly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of VATech Wabag Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.